Bada boom, bada bang, bada bop. Today we've got a fun one, top 5 running shoe brands. I'm gonna go through the entire industry, all the top 12 brands, let you know which ones are crushing it, which ones need some help, which ones are somewhere in the middle, and then I'll give you my top 5. So if you're interested in running shoes, you're in the right place. If you like finding deals on running shoes, not just watching all these videos, you gotta make sure you're on my app. It's the Supwell app, the best buy, sell, and trade marketplace for running shoes. So all of these shoes that I'm highlighting today, I've bought, I've tested. We have people on the app who also buy and test these shoes, and then they list them if they don't work for them. So you can get a great deal on a shoe under MSRP. People also do great reviews. We have a whole community where we're doing reviews and where we're doing run reports, sharing our progress with training, and we will have training plans coming very soon. So if you're trying to find a deal on a running shoe or get in with the new community and save money on shoes and gear, get in with us and enjoy today's video. Monday morning, man. Monday. I always call these Monday morning runs the tone setters. And boy, the tone was monotone this morning. It was monotonous, dreary, groggy, languid. Man, it was tough and rough this morning. My Garmin said I got 4 hours and 52 minutes of sleep last night. I think the previous 3 nights I also averaged about 5 hours of sleep, so running on fumes. AC is still out here. It's going to be 98 degrees today. It's probably already 90. Yeah, I just did not have much energy before this run to do much of anything. to talk, let alone to run, but somehow absolutely gritted it out, man. It's been a tough few days, so I decided I wanted to just wake up and get some pace in this week. That's why we call these run the tone setters. We got to get up and get after it on Monday to ensure that it's going to be a good week. So this is the cool down. 2 miles, 32 hundredths right there. 8:30 pace. Let me see if I can get the first run on here, or I'll just throw it up right there. I got a 7-mile tempo. I've just been grinding away at this marathon pace over the past few weeks, trying to make this sub 2:30 pace feel smoother, and that was a really solid run in the Puma DV8 Nitro Elite 3. I almost pulled the Alpha Fly, but then I saw these were at about 70 miles, so I said, why don't I just pull for the DV8 Nitro Elite 3, an old favorite. There's nothing better than an old favorite in a good hard run to change the mood. So that was really solid. What I want to do today is go through the top 5 running brands. Puma is one of those top 5. Spoiler alert, they got 2 great race shoes. This is maybe one of the best deals at MSRP on the market, $230. And I just feel so efficient in this thing, man. The way that the plate pops me off the ground with this firmer foam. I was also noticing, because I was in the past week of running the Hyperion Elite 5, the Adios Pro 4, the SC Elite V5, and in the past month I've also running the Sky Tokyo, the Rocket X3, a bunch of shoes. I think I've even run the Vaporfly. Now that was probably about a month and a half ago, but I've run a lot of the race shoes. This is the one that still, man, I just feel so free and easy in this thing. It just works really well. And if you look at these splits, man, I was cruising 530s on those first few miles there, and I just felt so natural in this thing. As I open up my stride, it just feels like it works perfectly with my mechanics. It doesn't have the craziest bounce, but the bounce is so good, and I don't feel like I have to press. With a lot of these other shoes, like the Adios Pro 4, I really have to change my running style. Same thing with the Fast R3. I am not naturally a forefoot striker, and a lot of these race shoes make me try to do that. With this one, I could just run in my natural style, and I feel really efficient in it. So I don't think my heart rate was actually super low, because it's about 90 gosh dang degrees. I also was getting a side stitch there on the 4th mile, almost slowed down. One of those miles, I think the 6th mile of the tempo was uphill, so the pace, or the 7th or the 5th mile, so the pace was going to come down, but I was able to hang on there pretty good, and this is still one of the best gosh dang race shoes out there from one of the best gosh dang running brands. I was saying this last week, but Puma is no longer an underdog, man. They're a top dog in the game now, so they better watch out. People are going to be coming for their necks, trying to knock them off the throne. All right, let me shower, and then we can get into the rest of this list. I don't even know if it's going to be now because I hear the longevity mowers, but at some point, top five. Should I just make this the thumbnail? Get real clickbaity, put the Skechers shoe in the thumbnail. Nah, I brought a box out. This box I brought down, these are the honorable mentions, the brands I want to give shout outs to, because there's a lot of brands doing cool things right now. So I've had the top 5, then I have this other box, it's 5 other brands. I made a note in my notes app, there's 5 other brands outside of the top 5 that I want to shout out because they're really doing great things, and there are a few brands that could do some work on their lineup. But let me go grab the other box, and then we can get rolling. Hold on. Should I do the thing? Boom. All right, man. Top 5 running shoe brands of 2025. Let's start with the shoutouts. And by the way, I have to get the electrolytes in. I'm sipping Element right now. I actually discovered a new brand. Next time I do a full vlog with the day and everything, I'll show you it inside. I also want to do some more testing on it, but I discovered a new brand, more cost effective than Element, tastes super good. Charlie said she thought it was maybe too sweet. I liked it, but it's a salt based one. It has a full electrolyte profile. My friend Jim, who was doing the Ultra on Saturday, he showed it to me. But I'm sipping the Element right now because I've just been smashed the entire day. And this is the thing about training, it's not always good to do what we're capable of. What I mean with that is, yeah, you could run a 7-mile tempo after a 20-mile long run like I did today, and I was just feeling like I needed to get some demons out and let it fly and course correct after a rough week. But you're going to be paying for it. It's like yesterday. So I ran a 20-mile long run. It took me 2 hours and 38 minutes. That was in the Brooks Hyperion Elite 5. 2 hours and 38-minute long run. And I only did 2 gels. Now, partially that was because that was all I had. I think I actually had one more, a caffeinated gel, and I didn't want to take that because sometimes the caffeinated gels, they just make me too jittery after the run. And of course, I can get through a 20-mile long run with only 2 gels, but then I'm going to be paying for it later. And I just felt so much worse than I typically do. Sometimes I'll even do 5 gels on a 20-miler or a 22-miler. And I don't need to do that because with training at the high mileage level that I have for so long, I'm really efficient now at conserving, or my body is at conserving glycogen. I'm not going to be completely wiped out. And I could get through a 20-mile long run without any gels. But I also have a very high metabolism. Then after the run, I'm going to be feeling it. And I was just dragging yesterday. So that carries on into today. Luckily I was able to do, or not luckily, it was not luck, it's the work that I've put in. I was able to do that tempo this morning, 7 miles, but I've just felt it, man. One of my worst ideas ever, because the New York Times, they actually sent an email and it was talking about the North Carolina heat index, or it said, how long will the North Carolina heat wave stop? So the heat down here is now a national news story. And I ran a gosh dang 7-mile marathon tempo in it. So there you go. And I think I actually averaged exactly 5:42 per mile pace for those 7 miles. So that was not a joke. When I started, so Strava will only tell you the temperature when it starts. On the new Supwell app, what I want to do is actually have a temperature for each mile. That would be cool, right? Because if you're doing a 20-miler, it could be 65 when you start and then 85 when you end. But it said on Strava it was 82 when I started, feels like 88. And then when I checked about 30 or 45 minutes after the run, it was already up to feels like 93 or 95. So I was in the 90s this morning, ripping. So I've been trying to stay on top of it. Also, I ordered food because I was just busy this morning. Anyway, point being, if you're going to be foolish, you got to pay the price and accept the consequences. But I've been stringing together a lot of good marathon pace work, and I'm hoping that doing this will now help me push through, because I've been a lot of these 4 or 5 mile tempos, but that's the thing. Stack the 4 or 5 mile tempos, stack the 7 mile tempos, and then once the temperature comes down, I mean, legitimately 100 degrees out here right now. That's not an exaggeration. It's 100 American. Once the temperatures come down, dude, that 10-mile tempo at a 540 pace is going to feel so much smoother because, man, that heart rate, it just jacks up to 180 by the end of the run. And I felt mechanically good. That was the smoothest I've felt at 540 pace. And I'm telling you, that Deviate Nitro Elite 3 is just so good. Not the most aggressive, not the most propulsive or the craziest, but just the ease, the comfort. I don't have to think about it. I just felt so good, so smooth. I was able to open the stride up. But because it's so hot, the heart rate just spikes regardless. So we're going to be in a good place, though, I think. 7-mile tempo. Anyway, let's get into it. That's a little training update for everybody. First shout out, Skechers. Speaking of tempo, this is the Skechers Aero Tempo. I want to give Skechers a shout out on the top brands list. They're not cracking the top 5, but they have really done a nice job overhauling their lineup. This is the Aero Tempo. They also have the Aero Burst, which is the max cushion shoe. I think I'm going to get some more miles in that really soon, but very competitive in the max cushion segment. It's like a Nimbus, Mag Max, one of those types of shoes, just a super comfortable, bouncy cushion shoe for high mileage. And then this is their speed shoe / race shoe, man, super good. I got a really nice workout in this, and it was actually, I think it was a 15-mile run with 12 by 800. I think I was doing 12 by 800. I freestyled it. That's what I'll do a lot of the times. I'm actually back in a phase of training now where I've thrown out the Daniels. I'm still looking at it and saying, okay, he's saying this week to do this 10-mile tempo, but because it's the heat, I've modified it some. And I'm more so just freestyling what I feel I need, and it's working really well right now. But with this, I freestyled a workout about 2 months ago when I first got it, and I got about 4 or 5 miles at marathon pace, broken up half-mile chunks. And it was awesome, and the forefoot is bouncy. They got the nice smooth roll. So the main Skechers dilemma right now is just recrafting the narrative around the brand, right? Barrett, we just did the Instagram post. He put together a really awesome post on the 3 most underrated midsole foams on the market, and the Aero, what is it called? No, sorry, Hyperburst was one of the foams that he put on that list. And man, their stuff is just so good. And what he was also saying in that post is Skechers has this perception of being a grandma brand, or if you grew up where I grew up, it has the brand perception of being the brand that you wear because your parents couldn't buy you anything better. It's not the brand that you want to pull up to the first day of school in Lowell, Massachusetts, man. You'll get some comments. So I think that's the main thing holding Skechers back. It's not a cool brand in the minds of a lot of people, but this is a cool looking shoe. The performance is great. It feels good. The toe box is kind of narrow, but so are some of these other shoes. So are Nike and the older Pumas. So that's not what's holding them back. It's really the brand perception. So shout out to Skechers, doing a great job overhauling their lineup. The Spark is a really competitive option in the more workhorse category. You have the Aero Burst, nice max cushion cruiser, one of the best deals at MSRP. That and the Deviate Nitro Elite 3, probably 2 best deals. And this thing, banger for some demon time speed. So good job, Skechers. Next up in the shoutouts, this is a Saucony right here. Saucony Endorphin Speed 5. I want to give Saucony a shout out because, like Skechers, they've done a nice job overhauling their lineup, but it's more so listening to consumer feedback. The Speed 4 was a miss for me, and it was a miss for a lot of other people. The Triumph was a miss. Hurricane was not a miss, but every single update they've done this year has been a real update to improve this shoe and to push it forward. Endorphin Trainer, right? They introduced even that shoe that not a lot of people loved. I loved it, but they introduced the new race foam. Endorphin Elite introduced the most competitive, or not most competitive, but the most innovative, fun, bouncy, soft race foam on the market. Speed 5, they cleaned up all the issues with the Speed 4. Triumph did not work for me. I actually put it on my worst shoes list, but they did make an attempt to make it a better shoe by lightening it up. And then same thing with the Hurricane, right? So shout out to Saucony for doing a nice job overhauling their lineup this year, up and down. And if they can redo the Endorphin Pro 4 and make that an even more competitive shoe in the race segment, I think they might be on the top 5 list. There's some brands here where, man, I see them knocking on the door. Skechers is definitely knocking on the door. Another brand that's knocking on the door, boom, Brooks. So shout out to Brooks because, man, they just have a lot of bangers. So it's hard to make a top 5. This would probably be, I'm looking at this list, This would probably be number 6, just right behind the 5th. They have this, they have the Glizzy Max, and they have the, what's the other, the Hyperion Elite 5 that just came out. They have the Ghost Max 2 that's coming out. So a lot of solid shoes. It's just there's some other brands on top of them, but Brooks has done a really nice job, similar to what Skechers needs to do, because 2 years ago, if you think back to when, before they released the Ghost Max, I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but Brooks did not have any cool or desirable shoes at all. They had the OG Hyperion Max, which was very firm. That was the first shoe that started getting the more credibility for performance, both for the performance and also for enthusiasts, but they were more so known for their workhorse shoes. They've done such a good job identifying the core of what makes a Brooks shoe good, which is durability and reliability, and then blending that with what people want. This is a workhorse shoe. This is like if you took the standard Ghost, it combined it with the race shoe and a training shoe. Our guy Grant from Supple Social Media put 500 miles on this thing. The Hyperion Elite 5, I have 30 miles on it so far, which is not a lot, but for a race shoe, it's a decent amount, right? A workout and a long run, and the outsole of it and the whole shoe, it looks brand new and it feels brand new. So they've just done a nice job translating their more staid, serious daily trainer capabilities and qualities to their cool stuff now. Glizzy Max, this, and the Hyperion Elite 5 race shoe. So they are knocking on the door. Shout out Brooks, shout out Warren Buffett. All right, 2 more shout outs. I want to give On a shout out. This is actually the Cloud Boom Echo. This is a good shoe you could get on a nice deal. So if you're looking for a deal race shoe, try to see if you could find, and you don't want to go on the Supple app and find one used, try to see if you can find one of these new. But On has done a nice job with their race shoes and their speed shoes. So Cloud Boom Zone, Cloud Boom Strike. They also have the LS version of the Cloud Boom Strike. So they don't have a stacked lineup, and that's the thing. All the top 5 brands, they either have a stacked lineup or 2 or 3 massively popular shoes. That's not the case with On. They have a few really good shoes. I would love to see them continue innovating. There's a few needs work brands that I'll talk about later, maybe another video, or I think later. They're not a needs work brand because they have a lot of good bones there, but if they could translate what is starting to become their reputation, which is making these really fun, fast shoes in the Zone and the Strike, if they could translate that back down into their training shoes, which I think they might be doing in the Cloud Boom Max. That's more of a hybrid training racing shoe. It's designed as a long run shoe or a 4-hour marathon shoe. And if they can start doing that more across their lineup, give us a good daily trainer that doesn't have the Cloud Tech gimmicks. And I don't even care if it has the Cloud Tech gimmicks. It just has to ride like it doesn't have a gimmick. Man, drop the price on the Hyper in the next generation to 180. If they can start to be more competitive, both with the performance and the pricing, then I could see them contending. Right now, they're not contending for the top 5. They're definitely lower on this list. But shout out to On for doing a nice job putting some quality products out there. All right, last shout out. A newer brand, at least a newer brand for me, that has made one of my favorite shoes of all time. This might really be my favorite daily trainer of all time. It's hard to say that because the 1080 V13 has 300 miles on it for me. The Triumph has 300, and I just officially retired it in my Strava. My Strava shoe list is just disgusting. There's 200 shoes in there or something, but yeah, the Triumph has 356 miles. I think I put 700 miles on a pair of Ultra Boost, 400 miles on 2 pairs of Cloud Stratus. So that's a tough list to contend with. I only have 100 miles on this, but oh yeah, Mag Max 200 miles. That's not technically a daily trainer. So it's hard to contend with those historic greats for me, but I just don't have not the time, but it's hard for me to put a lot of miles on shoes now. So getting 100 miles on a shoe like this is really good and a sign that I love a shoe. And man, this thing is just a banger. So a newer brand for me. Of course, I knew about them, but I knew more of their streetwear stuff and their trail stuff. But they've been crushing it on the roads this year with this and the Aeroblaze, 2 really solid shoes. I would love to see them put together a new race shoe and a new speed training shoe. Something with the plate, or it doesn't even have to have a plate, but something higher stack. Sneezing every day. Yeah, to compete with the rest of the higher stack long run shoes and speed training shoes. But man, shout out to Solomon putting in the work. The Aeroglide 3, such a great shoe. One of the most popular shoes in the hobby jogger community this year. Just truly a high mileage weapon. It just feels so good. Lightweight, soft, bouncy. They did a really nice job with this foam. So if they could take the innovation with this foam for daily training and apply that to some of the speed shoes and the race shoes, I could see them cracking the top 5, and they just got to be consistent with trying to dive deeper into the road running market. It's hard to compete with the Brooks and the Nikes of the world and the Adidas who've been doing it for a long time, but I can see how a brand like this might start to crack the list, right? Because there is going to be one brand who, man, they could follow in the footsteps of them. It's hard, but some of these smaller brands, if you put out quality products and you show that you're dedicated to the hobby jogger community, you could get to the top 5, but you just got to be putting out heat. All right, let's get to the core of the list. Number 5, the 5th best running shoe brand, and the sun is just bright today. I don't know what to tell you, man. It looks like it's blown out, but it's also 100 degrees, so maybe that's how it should look. The 5th best running shoe brand of 2025, Nike. Now, Nike is a brand where if I put them on the list, I'm paid by Nike. If I don't put them on the list, I'm a Nike hater. The reality is they are a massively popular brand, and everyone has an opinion on them, whether you like them or you don't. Everybody knows about them. You can't think back to the first time you heard of Nike. You just can't. If you grew up in the developed West, you can't say, oh, I remember when I learned about Nike. No, it's just one of those things that has always existed. It's just always been there. So because they're such a famous name, the expectations for every release is high. You cannot decouple the brand and what it stands for with the performance of the shoe, and it's so hard, I think, for a lot of people to just run in a shoe, something like the Vomero, and not expect it to be this life-changing experience because it's Nike. It has the swoosh. If it's not the bounciest thing of all time, then it's a terrible trash shoe. But the reality is Nike has a lot of quality options in their lineup, and they have the most popular race shoe out there. If you go to any marathon, you're going to be swimming in a sea of Alpha Flies. So that's one of the main reasons they're on this list, the most popular race shoe, and then very solid caster releases this year, Streak Fly 2 and Vomero. I mean, that would be a great rotation right there. Alpha Fly for long runs, Vomero for daily training and relaxed miles, and then you could throw the Streak Fly 2 for interval sessions. That's all you need. So that was my idea with putting this list together. If a brand has 3 really solid shoes, they're contending for the top, and with them, they just have the most popular race shoe here. Now, areas of improvement for Nike, Vaporfly was disappointing for me, and I know that some people liked it and think it should be more accessible, but when you look at the SC Elite V5, when you look at the Hyperion Elite 5, the Vaporfly is just not, it is not contending in the same way. The ride is just not in the same level. Okay, we got girls canvassing. They're trying to, I just saw them knock on my neighbor's door. I was thinking they're gonna try to knock on my door, and it's nap time, so I don't want them to do that. Because Charlie's gonna give them a good talking to if they wake up the kids. Looks like they're holding off for now. Yeah, Vaporfly, the alternate race shoe is really Nike's main area of improvement, but I don't know, for me, I would go Alpha Fly for the half marathon, and I would go Streak Fly for the 5K. You don't need the Vaporfly with how good the Streak Fly is and the Alpha Fly is. So that's just petty picking. I've seen the Vomero, Vomero Plus. I know some reviewers are starting to get that. Some people on the Supwell app are starting to get that. I think Dick's Sporting Goods actually had one colorway that released, but it was black and white, and it didn't look that great to me. So I said, I'm not gonna get this right now, because if I get a bad colorway, then people don't want to get the shoe, and people automatically think the shoe is mid, like the Mizuno Neo Vista 2. So lots of good releases, cool stuff coming up. Shout out Nike. They've done a nice job reinvigorating their product lineup. They were in the valley of mid for a while. They are now fully emerging from that. All right, number 4, all the way on the opposite end of the spectrum, the least known brand, the least famous brand on this list, Mizuno, man. And you can see, this is what I'm talking about. People didn't like this shoe because the upper was navy blue. I was not trying to rhyme there, I just did. Yeah, people thought this shoe looked mid. I think it actually looks really clean. Also, the upper fit's kind of weird. Anyway, Mizuno has 3 Very solid shoes. Neo Zen, $150. Super competitive at that price point, man. It rides like a much more expensive shoe. That foam is great, soft and bouncy. Same thing as in the top layer here. They have this shoe, Neo Vista 2, which is the best long run shoe of 2025. And then they have a really solid race shoe, the Wave Rebellion Pro 3, which I did not love at first, and I thought it was gimmicky because of the stack height and because they had that zebra colorway, but every run I've done in it after the first run has been really solid. Now, it is not a shoe to get if you have stability issues, but a great long run shoe, a great daily trainer, and a great race shoe, that will place you on the top 5. And they have the Wave Sky 9 coming, which I know a lot of people are excited about, which is more of a standard version of this thing. And then they have a lower version of the race shoe. It's called the Wave Rebellion Pro 3 Natural. Hopefully they release that in the US market. So they've just done a really nice job with the foams. That's what's placing them on this list for me. Their innovation is just crazy. Now, yeah, they're not the most popular. They don't have as stacked of a lineup as some of the other brands, but the fact that they are this smaller competitor and they are really investing in the foam development, investing in the innovation, and coming up with products that are just so much better than anything else out there. This has 50 millimeters of stack and is lighter than a lot of standard daily trainers. It's something like 290 grams in my size. So that will place you on the top 5. 3 awesome shoes, innovation, great rides, and the prices, they did raise this to $200, but the prices are still competitive, especially with the Neo Zen at $150. That's a really solid deal at MSRP. So shout out to Mizuno putting in work. All right, man, number 3. Now, top 3, I think most people would agree, if you're a shoe sicko, most people are going to agree about the top 3. You might not exactly agree with the order. I'm putting Adidas at number 3. They might have the most stacked lineup. I think it's them and Asics who have the most stacked lineups in terms of just volume of shoes. But their QA issues are what are holding them back for me. I almost wanted to put them lower on this list, but the fact that they just have such a high number of shoes, I mean, let's get into it. SL2 at $130. Adios 9 at $140, which a lot of people like. Evo SL at $150. Boston at $160. Even the Supernova Prima at $160. The Ultra Boost, which you could find on a deal for something like $120. The Prime X Strung 3, one of the most innovative, wild, wacky shoes, that's $300. The Adios Pro 4, $250. The lightest weight race shoe in the Pro Evo 2 for $500, but innovation, right? You had the Takumi Sen, which I didn't love. That was really the only miss, I think, for me recently, and the Adi Star with the QA issues. So again, there's a mixed bag here, but just so many. There's 7 really good options. Even the shoes where they're kind of mid to me, like the Supernova Prima or the Supernova Rise, are really solid. And that's what Adidas does. They make reliable shoes. They consistently are improving. I mean, look at this guy here, Adidas Boston 13. They took a shoe which was beloved but polarizing in the Boston 12 and refined it, lightened it up, softened up the foam, added the race foam, Evo SL. They introduced one of the best value shoes to the market. They gave the people what they wanted with the full Light Strike Pro race foam. Great rocker, made a drop down of that Evo. And then the innovation that they're doing with the lightweight and the high-end race shoe and the Prime X Strung 3 with the stack and the plates is cool. So they're just doing what you should be doing as a big running brand. You innovate, you do good updates, and you do good deals for people so that they could get the shoes on sale. I mean, even shoes like the Evo have gone on sale. There were times where you could get the Adios Pro 4 for under $200. So, I mean, that's what I want to see out of a big brand. They're crushing it. The main note for them is just, dude, you gotta get better with the QA. My Adi Stars were atrocious. Worst pair of shoes I've ever tested. The size was about a full inch too short. It felt like I was running a 9.5 or something. It messed up my gait. Then my Takumi Sens fit long. The Adios Pro 4 had sizing inconsistencies for people. So that's the main issue. Oh, the Evo SLs, people are saying one of the sides is a lot softer than the other, or they have 2 different pairs and the sizing is off and the weight is off on them. So that's really the thing that is holding them back from being a 1 or a 2. But if you get a good pair of them, which most of them are, They're just solid quality shoes. I got 100 miles on this guy. I've run the Prime X Strung 3 a decent amount since I got it. I probably have near 40 miles on that, which is not too bad for a month of running with it, given all the new releases. And then what else? Yeah, Adios Pro 4. I've had a lot of good workouts in that shoe, even though it wasn't my favorite at the beginning. So shout out Adidas. They're doing exactly what I said they should do with the Prima and the Rise in the next generation. I saw these leaks come out. They've gotten rid of the support rods. They're going full Dream Strike Plus. They're making a better rocker on those shoes. So it shows the brands do listen to consumer feedback. It's not just me. But if you complain, or not complain, if you give critiques about the brands, put them out online in the right forums, the brands will listen. So I think Adidas is going to have some even better stuff coming down the pike, and they're solid at number 3. They just got to clean up the QA. All right, top 2. Number 2 might be the most stacked brand, and this is going to be a hard one. It was hard to go 1 or 2, but number 2 is going to be Asics. I pulled the Gel Nimbus 27 because this is an Asics shoe that I really like. It's not the most exciting one, but you get the tall stack of foam, you get the rocker. It's just a fun shoe to run in. It's super comfortable and fun, and almost an under the radar pick now because of all the flashier nameplates that have come to market. If they named this the Blastoid 5000, it would have gotten a lot more pop. Anyway, what are the good Asics shoes? Nova Blast, $150. Solid daily trainer with a lot of fun. It's got the pep and the pop. Nimbus, what is this, 165. Just solid max cushion cruiser, Glide Ride Max. And then where you really start getting the value or the hits that people love, a lot of people love the Super Blast 2, one of the most popular shoes. Not my favorite, but undeniably a massive hit, one of the most successful franchises of shoes. Probably the most successful new franchise of shoes that's been introduced in the 2020s. It's close between the Endorphin Speed and that. And then you have their race shoes, the Sky Tokyo or the Sky Paris, depending on what you have, what your preference is, and then the Edge Tokyo and Edge Paris. So Asics is doing cool stuff, also innovating with the new Ray that's coming out. That's going to be the lightest shoe on the market, I think, the lightest marathon race shoe. I don't know exactly if the Evo Pro is lighter, but regardless, a very light shoe, and they're introducing it at $300 versus the Pro Evo, which is $500. So just a stacked lineup. You could put together a great rotation no matter what you're training for with the Asics shoes. It also looks like they're reconfiguring the positioning of the Magic Speed, making that lighter to the ground or lower to the ground and lighter weight, so you have a new interval training option. And then they're also introducing 2 more cruiser type shoes, the Sonic Blast and the Mega Blast. So I don't know, man, is that too many options? Maybe. The Nova Blast, Mega Blast, Sonic Blast, Super Blast. I'm not going to complain, though, because if they're all good, then more power to them, right? Put out all the good shoes that you want. So Asics, number 2. And then number 1, you already know who it is. Boom. You probably guessed from the tempo this morning, we had to bring out the DV8 Nitro Elite 3. So Puma is sitting on top, and it's quite simple, right? You have 2 awesome race shoes. So DV8 Nitro Elite 3, the reliable one, the one that's better for time on feet, the one that is the lowest priced now competitive marathon shoe out there, because Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, that was $225. Saucony raised it to $240. This is still $230. Bouncy, smooth, reliable, consistent. Then you have the Fast R3, probably the fastest race shoe out there, at least in the more cushion segment. Really innovative with the plate poking out and the ATPU foam. Then if we go down the lineup, you have the new Velocity Nitro 4, lightweight shoe that packs a punch, $140, but to me felt just as good and protective as a lot of the cushioned high-end training shoes. You have the Mag Max, one of those cushioned high-end training shoes, $180, one of the cheapest in its class, which offers great support, bounce, and comfort for the long run. What else do we have? DV8 Nitro 3, very solid. That one didn't take off as much as the DV8 Nitro 2, but still very solid. Then you have the new Magnified Nitro, which just came out, which is just a cushioned workhorse daily shoe really great option. It's comfortable. It's still a 10mm drop, but nice bounce to it. And then you have the Puma grip on all of them. That's great for the wet weather. So from top to bottom, Puma just has a lineup that is stacked. If I had to pick one brand to train in, it would be Puma. Right? You could have the Velocity for the recovery. You could have the Mag Max for the longer runs. You could have this for workouts like today where you're doing tempos or any longer workouts. And then the Fast R3 for the intervals in the shorter workouts. So there's not really much more to say than what I've already said on Puma. They've just done a really nice job listening, taking feedback, incorporating it, and putting solid hit after hit after hit after hit. And I was telling them the other day, man, or saying this on the channel, people are going to start turning on them. People are going to start treating them like Nike soon because everything that they've released has just been heat. And the expectations were weirdly high for the Velocity Nitro 4, and then it delivered. It was crazy. It delivered. A lower stack lightweight daily trainer beat the expectations that were annoyingly high. So yeah, I don't have any notes for Puma. I guess it would be, I did actually an entire video earlier this year about 3 things Puma needs to do, and it was just get into more mom and pop or local retailers, widen out the toe box, which they've started doing. That was not the case on the Velocity Nitro 3. And then just get more involved with local run clubs and communities, and they are doing that. So man, shout out Puma putting in work. All right, last thing I wanted to go through, notes. There were 2 brands, just only 2 brands that had notes for. Hoka, they did not make the honorable mention or the top list, and that is because their 2 race shoes that they dropped this year were both super disappointing for me. And regardless of whether you like it or not, they just have a confused product lineup right now. There's too much overlap between the Rocket and the Cielo. They've mixed and they've mashed them. The Cielo is the aggressive one, but it has the softer, mushy foam. And then a Rocket X3, it's supposed to be the stable one, but it didn't feel great for time on feet. They're both okay. They're both serviceable, but neither of them were great compared to the other options on the market. And another reason why Puma made the top of the list for me is if you look at their most expensive products, the 2 products that are sitting on the top, Deviate Nitro Elite 3, 230, Fast Arc 3, 300, 2 race shoes, but they are highly differentiated. There's a clear understanding of what they're for and who they're for. None of the other brands have done that with their 2 racing shoes, not even Nike with the Alpha Fly in Vaporfly. It's not clear what type of runner should go for the Alpha Fly versus Vaporfly. It's not clear. I know ASICS says the Cadence versus the Stride thing with the Edge and the Paris. I actually think that that's roughly accurate, but for a lot of people it's not clear, and for some people they don't feel that's accurate. With what's the other brand that has 2 race shoes? There's one other brand, is there? Oh, Saucony with the Endorphin Pro and the Endorphin Elite. Yeah, none of the other brands have done such a good job as Puma, and that's exactly what's happening with Hoka. There's just too much overlap. So I would like to see them put more difference between those shoes. They're also not doing much in the innovation department, which is okay. They did come out with a really cool new shoe for the trail. It's called the Rocket Trail, and it's a TPU based foam. I think it's an ATPU. Same thing in here. So it's kind of weird they debuted that on the trail side, but I guess they do have a lot of heritage in trail. That's where they started, so maybe that's why they're doing it. Anyway, I would like to see them innovate more. Their core lineup is great. They have not messed that up. The Clifton and the Bandai and the Skyflow and the Mach X2. So they do have a lot of solid shoes still, but the top is not there. And even with the Mach X2, given everything else that's come to market with the Hyperion Max 3 and even Saucony Endorphin Speed 5 update, the Boston 13, the Evo SL, all these things are starting to chip away at the market share of the Mach X, and the update on that is just an upper update. It's a fantastic midsole, but how is it going to be when that midsole has been out in market for 18 months and you have ASICS dropping Sonic Blast, Mega Blast, Hyperion Max releasing probably in 17 different colorways later this year? Is that going to be enough Hoka with the upper update to compete? So that's my note for Hoka. Innovate and then clean up the race shoes in the next generation. Keep doing what you're doing with the Bandai and the Clifton, because those are fantastic. And then last note here, not a shout out but a note, was New Balance. So I loved the SC Elite V5. That was the saving grace for them this year, but everything else has just been disappointing. Even the 1080 now, which I liked when it came out last year, just feels weird in this market. Like, who is it for? Where is it for? The market has just shifted a lot in the past 2-3 years, and the format and formula and the way New Balance has positioned themselves hasn't changed to keep up with the market. So more V6, that was a miss for me for running. That's a great walking shoe, and I've been using it for that. Same thing with the, what was the other one? Oh, the Rebel, the lighter weight shoe, just not on the same level as the Velocity Nitro or Evo SL or Nova Blast for any of those use cases where you might want a lightweight running shoe. So yeah, I think with New Balance, some new foams would do them good. I did like the application of the fuel cell in the SC Elite V5, but they haven't innovated recently. And then just getting back to making really solid performance running shoes, they've started to drift into this more lifestyle segment. It almost seems like they want to be this casual brand that you could run in. Maybe that's why the SC Elite V5 looks so good, right? But it seems like they're really trying to be that run club cool shoe. Give us some heaters, New Balance. And SC Trainer V3 has been out for about a year now, and that's just not competitive with anything else. The Hyperion Max 3 is basically a better version of the SC Elite or SC Trainer V3. So there you go. Those were the top 5 brands that I gave shout outs to, and a few with stuff to work on. And there's a few other brands out there, of course, but I couldn't mention every single brand that makes running shoes. That is the core of the lineup. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your top 5 list. What are your top 5 brands right now and why? And I'll be back tomorrow with another video.